Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to another live session. Today we are going to solve a paper number 2. This is paper number 2 variant 1 of October November 2023. So now let's start and see what type of questions this paper has to offer. Before we start, I hope you guys are doing okay and your preparation is going well. So let's start. Take one box to show which operator means less than or equal to. Well, this sounds more like a mathematics question. However, the answer is C. This is the sign for less than, this is the sign for equal to. Take one box to show how a value can be passed to a procedure, obviously through a parameter and nothing else. 4 descriptions of data and 5 data types are shown. Draw one line to link each description to the most appropriate data type, a whole number. What is the data type that can contain a whole number? Write it in the chat below. I'll give you 5 seconds to write. That is an integer, a single letter. That is a char, a word or a phrase. That is definitely a string, a number with 2 decimal places. That is real. Circle 3 words representing places where data may be stored. Array, constant, dimension, input, output, procedure, variable. So can you pick out 3 words from these given lists? Can you write them in chat? Which of these 3 words are places where you can store your data? The first one is obviously array. The second one constant. The third one variable. Those of you who got it right, congratulations. Those who did not, well, better luck next time. The first stage of the program development life cycle is analysis. 2 of the tasks in analysis are decomposition and abstraction. Describe what is meant by abstraction. Yes, I know I read it in the reverse order, but doesn't really matter. Discarding any unnecessary information and only recording the key information. That's the most basic definition of abstraction. Another thing that you can write is to simplify the given to simplify a situation or a data or program. Identify 3 of the component parts when a data problem has been decomposed at the analysis stage. Now there are basically 4 things, 4 component parts of a program: input, process, storage, and output. I have told you about these before as well. I think it was the February-March paper, or it was the first paper 2 of May-June 23. In one of those, there was a question about it as well. Identify and describe one other stage of program development life cycle. So analysis is the first stage. You can write about design, you can write about coding, you can write about testing. You have 3 other options: design, creating a conceptual or logical design for the solution. Then we have coding, converting the design into actual program using a programming language. Then we have testing, checking the program for bugs or errors. Now don't worry if you open the mark scheme and see slightly different definition. That does not mean you are not going to get any marks for it. So please don't really write in chat or comments that hey sir, your definition does not meet mark scheme. Remember, examiners are supposed to be very well versed in their respective field, in their respective subject. So if you write something that is correct, that is factually correct, that is an acceptable definition of something, you'll get marks for that, even if the mark scheme uses slightly different words. Okay, this is not one of those questions where you have to write exactly the same keywords, so don't worry about it. Again, if you are enjoying this live session, give me a thumbs up, like this video kindly, and leave me some comments after the session is done so I can know how we are doing. Plus, if you have any question regarding any of the answers I've written so far, or you have any journal question about paper number 2, any topic of paper 2, please write it in chat and I'll definitely answer each and every one of your questions after I'm done with this paper in the Q&A session. Plus, if you know anyone who's having trouble in computer science, please let them know. We are having these 2 sessions for computer science every week that are on Tuesdays and Fridays, so ask them to join in. They are absolutely free for anyone and everyone who's having trouble in computer science. Come and let's ace CS together. That's our motto. An algorithm has been written in pseudocode. Okay, so this is the algorithm. State the purpose of this pseudocode algorithm. Okay, what I can see is we are declaring A, which is an array of string 1 to 10, T. Declare T, that is also a string. Declare C and L as integer. Okay, L is 10, and for C 1 to L, that means we are running a loop from 1 to 10 basically. Enter name, input AC. So basically we are inputting 10 names in an array. For C 1 to L, and for L 1 to 9. Okay, if AL is greater than AL plus 1, this line basically tells me we are trying to run a bubble sort, because this line only occurs in a bubble sort, that if the numbers in an array are out of sequence, we put the first one in T or temp variable, then we put the second one into first position, then we take the value out of temp and place it in the second position, making the swap a complete success. The only thing slightly different is normally we use a repeat loop, and then inside we use a for loop, and we use a boolean variable swap, but over here they are using 2 for loops to basically do the same thing without raising a flag or without a swap boolean variable. And then finally they are outputting for count 1 to L means 1 to 10, output name. C is count, like name 1 is this, name 2 is this, name 3 is this, name 4 is this. So it is basically going to print all 10 names together. State the purpose of this pseudocode algorithm. Well, simple. Inputting 10 names in an array, sorting them in alphabetical order and displaying them. That's what this algorithm is doing. And how do I know it is sorting them in alphabetical order? Because of this. If we are going in ascending or alphabetical order, we use this. If we are going in descending order, we use this sign. State 4 processes in this algorithm. So where are processes happening? So first of all, we are declaring or initializing variables. That's technically a process. Then we are storing values in an array. That's also a process. Then sorting the array in required order or ascending or alphabetical order, and the fourth one displaying the array. Okay, now this, I'm liking this paper. It is a little bit different than the normal and it is slightly challenging. So far I'm really liking this paper. This is a unique sort of paper. We have not seen any such papers or this type of question so far in computer science, so I'm really liking it. I'm enjoying solving it. Let me know what you think about this paper. Write it in the chat or write it in the comments that if you're watching the playback, that what do you think about this paper. Let me know your opinion. See, this is exactly the reason why guest papers for any science subject are absolutely trash. They are absolutely useless. Meaningful identifiers have not been used in this algorithm. Suggest suitable meaningful identifiers for the array A. We can simply call it as name. T should be something like temp or temporary. C should be count or counter. L should be, L was the last, right? The last value, L should be last. Or it can represent length as well. Last means the position index number of last value, or length means the total number of elements in an array. State two other ways the algorithm can be made easier to understand and maintain. The first way is using meaningful variables. Other than that, use comments to explain your code, and then use procedural programming or procedures and functions. You can write it in two ways. Use procedural programming or procedures and functions. And now there is another thing which is sometimes written in mark scheme, use of white space or indentation. Proper use of indentation or white space. If you cannot remember procedural programming or the use of procedures and functions, you can write this as well. Consider this logic circuit. Write the logic expression for this logic circuit. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go ahead with this section. So that would mean not A and B. And then where it is going into an OR gate. So after the bracket, I'll apply an OR gate. And what is the second input in this OR gate? That is simply a NOT of C. So NOT C. And then I can put a big bracket around this entire equation. Very easy. Complete the truth table from the given logic circuit. Alright, so first of all, I'm going to need an A bar. A bar means the opposite of A, so 1. Let me increase the font size a bit because this table is slightly bigger than what we usually get. Okay, so this is A bar. Don't mind the weird indentation. Then we are going to need A bar or A naught and B. That means we need this column and we need to apply AND gate. Alright, so 0 and 1 would be 0, 0 and 1 would be 0, 1 and 1 would be 1, 1 1 would be 1, 0 0 would be 0, 0 0 would be 0, 1 0 would be 0, 1 0 would be 0. Next we need C naught. Yeah, well, okay, not a very good line. Let me try again. Although it doesn't really matter. Hopefully your drawing is better than mine. Anyways, so C bar is simply the opposite of C. and there you go. Now we are going to need, obviously, okay, we are going to need this and this for x, and we are going to apply an OR gate between them. Okay, this is probably going to be a little troublesome. Okay, so 0 and 0 or 1, or 0 plus 1 would be 1, 0 0 would be 0, 1 1 would be 1, 1 0 would also be 1, 0 1 would be 1, 0 0 would be 0, 0 1 would be 1, and 0 0 would be 0. Easy, 4 marks in the bag. A programmer is designing an algorithm to calculate the cost of a length of rope. The program requirements are input two values, the length of rope in meters length and the cost of 1 meter in cost. Perform a validation check on the length to ensure the value is between 0.5 and 6 inclusive. Inclusive means these two values are also acceptable, or you can say these two are the extreme values. Calculate the price. How would you do that? Length multiplied by cost per meter, obviously. Output the price rounded to 2 decimal place. Okay, sure, no problem. Use the variable names given. State the name of the validation check. Okay, so what type of validation check would check whether the length of rope is between 0.5 and 6 or not? That is definitely a length check. Sorry, not length check, a range check. Complete the flow chart for this algorithm. Okay, so start is already given to us, and this is a 6-mark question. That is probably after 2 years the first time they have given a question where you are supposed to draw a flow chart. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we are going to input length. Now remember, the symbol for inputting or outputting something is a parallelogram. I really hope your drawing is better than me and you are able to understand what I'm trying to draw. Input length. Now after inputting the length, what you are going to do, you are going to apply the validation check, that the range check whether the length is between 0.5 and 6 or not. So that means in order to apply a validation check, I'm going to draw a big rhombus or diamond shape, and then inside it I'm going to apply my validation check is length less than or greater than or equal to 0.5 and length less than or equal to 6. Let me try to adjust it over here. Now I guess I will need to, okay, I'll draw the arrows again, so this time hopefully slightly much better. If it is not within the range, then what you are going to do, you are going to input length again. Now in flowcharts we usually don't need to give error messages. So if it is a no, if the length is not in this range, you input it again. Otherwise, if it is within the range, what you are going to do, you are going to input cost like we were told. Input cost. Now for inputting, you know very well, we need a parallelogram. Oops, that was a very bad parallelogram, but hey, never mind. And then we are going to calculate price. How? Price will be equal to length multiplied by cost, and this is a process, so this will be placed in a rectangle Okay. Now for rounding the price to two decimal place, you can do it in two ways. You can either make another rectangle and you can round it off, or you can directly round and print it. You can either do it like this and then you can simply print the price. Okay, this is one way of doing it. Otherwise, what you can do is you can skip this step. You can skip this and you can say price is comma round price 2. Both ways are correct, both ways are accurate. You are not going to lose marks if you are using a separate box to round off the price, or you are not going to lose marks if you directly use the round function with the print statement. Actual goal of the program is to print the final price in two decimal place, no matter at what step you do it. So both of the approaches are fine. Still, if you have any question regarding why I've done something in this flowchart, please ask me in the chat or in the comments below. I'll respond to it at the end of this paper in the Q&A session. So stick around, give this video a thumbs up, like it, hit the like button if you're finding it useful, and spread the word so anyone and everyone around the world who's struggling with CS can come and join us in our past paper sessions and ace their computer science exams. Give two different sets of test data for this algorithm and state the purpose of each set. Okay, so the first set we can take is something like, let's say, any number. For length we can take any number between 0.5 and 6. So let's take 3. And for cost, let's take 1. The purpose for it is, this is normal data. It should be accepted by the program. Now second set of values, at least one of them should be out of range. Like we do not have a validation check for cost, so we can keep cost at same. And for the length, we can either take less than 0.5 or more than 6. Let's suppose 15. 15 as length and 1 as cost. You can write it in form of a phrase like this as well, no problem at all. Purpose, this is abnormal data. It must be, or it should be, rejected by the program. There you go. There you go. Complete the headings for the trace table to show a dry run for this algorithm. You do not need to trace the algorithm. Wow. 3 marks for just giving table headings. These are literally free 3 marks. Let me know in the comments what you think about this question. Well, this is probably the most easiest 3 marks in this entire paper so far, or probably the most easiest 3 marks in any of the paper 2 so far since 2015. Okay, so in trace table, all the columns represent one variable each. So our first variable is length, then we have cost, then we have price, and fourth one would obviously for output, will be for output. So length, cost, price, and output. There you go. Very easy 3 marks. Describe an improvement that should be made to the requirements for this algorithm. Well, we are validating length, but we are not validating cost. What if somebody inputs 0 as the cost? So that means you are going to get a length of rope for free, right? That should not happen. So add a validation check for cost as well, such as a presence check, like cost should not be left blank, or a range check to make sure cost is always greater than 0, because obviously cost cannot be a negative number or it cannot be 0. A model shop wants to set up a database to help with stock control of the model figures available for sale. The shop wants to store this information about the model figures. Field 1 catalog number, for example MD1234. Field 2 description, for example small white dog. Field 3 number in stock, for example 5. Field 4 price of each model, for example 7.4. Field 5 if the model has already been painted, yes or no. Okay, now here is where this gets interesting. The shop needs 5 fields for each record. Give a suitable name and data type for each field. What should be a name for first field and what should be its data type? I'm giving you 10 seconds to write it in chat. Okay, so for the first name you can use cat number, or you can write cat log number, or you can write catalog num. All of these are acceptable. What should be the data type? Text or alphanumeric, because it contains both characters or both alphabets and numbers. What about field 2? What should be the name for field 2? Again, you have 10 seconds. For the next one, you can simply say description. Data type should be again text or alphanumeric. What about field 3? Write your answer quickly. Let's just go with number or number in stock. Sorry, not with the question mark obviously, or num in stock. Remember that a name of a field cannot contain spaces, but you can include a dash or underscore like num in stock, or something like number in stock, or you can simply name it as quantity as well. Oh, we went a little outside, like quantity as well. What should be its data type? It should be an integer because it contains whole number. What should be the name of field 4? The price for each model. Again, your time starts now. For field 4, we can write it simply as price. The data type for it, that would be real. Field 5, if the model has already been painted, yes or no. Come on, give me your answer. We can simply call it as painted, and it should be boolean because it contains yes or no only. Give the name of field that should be used for the primary key. Again, 10 seconds to reply. Come on, let's see who can answer it first. Yes, we should use catalog number or cat number, whatever name you have chosen, as your primary key. Why? It contains unique values for each record. This question is almost there in like almost every paper. Almost in every paper, it's always there. SQL is used to query data stored in this database. State what these SQL commands are used for. Select. Actually, they should have said what these keywords stands for, but anyways, you get the idea. Select is tells the database which fields to be displayed. Select tells your database which fields should be, which columns should be displayed to the users, and any name which is not written after select should be hidden. From tells you from which table to get the data from. Identifies that table. Where is basically a condition. Tells database which condition or criteria to apply on the data, or you can simply write identifies the search criteria or condition. There can be multiple ways of answering this. Okay, and now we are down to our big bad 15-mark question already. Let's see what this question has to offer. Drama students put on a performance of a play for one evening. Seats in a small theater can be booked for their performance. The theater has 10 rows of 20 seats. The status of the seat bookings for the evening is held in a 2D array, Boolean array evening. Oh wow, so basically you have 20 columns and 10 rows, and the name of this is evening. This is the name of the array. Somehow I feel like this is a very easy 15-marker question. Let's read ahead and find out. Each element contains false if the seat is available and true if the seat is booked. Okay, easy enough. Up to and including 4 seats can be booked at one time. Okay. Seats are allocated in order from those available. A row or seat number cannot be requested. Okay. The array evening has already been set up and some data is stored. Write a program that meets the following requirement. Counts and outputs the number of seats already booked for the evening. Okay. Allows the user to input the number of seats required. Okay. And then validates the input. Okay. Check if enough seats are available, like if less than 4 seats are available, or don't. If more than 4 seats are available in the array, change the status of the seats from true to false to show that booking has been done. Output the row number and the seat number for each seat booked. Okay. If they are not available, output a message giving the number of seats left or house full if the theater is fully booked. You must use pseudocode or program code and add comments to explain how your code works. You do not need to declare any arrays or variable. Yeah, it is already given to you. You may assume this has already been done. You do not need to initialize the data in array evening. Yeah, please don't never try to initialize a given array or never try to declare it. All inputs and outputs must contain suitable messages. Alright, let's start. Now this part, I know some of you might shout at this point, why are you declaring variables? It was just, you just read that you are not supposed to declare any variables. This is, like I have explained before as well, this is a part of my own planning for the question. So I know what variable name I've decided for which part of the task. I don't need to think for it in the middle of my answer. So I can declare something like count, or let's just go with row and column for as integer, and feels to me like that's the only, wait, hold on, we need one more integer. That would be something like total seats or something like booked seats. Because we need a total number of how many seats have been booked. And if we are at it, so I can make a constant as well, and in which I'll store the value. Okay, there are 10 rows and 20 columns or 20 seats in each row, so that means a total of 200 seats are available. Sorry, for constants. Now even if you do not make this constants, that is totally fine, you can just compare it with 200 directly, no problem at all. But again, this is just a part of my planning. Your planning may differ, like instead of row you may use count, instead of column you may need some, or use something else. This is my planning, your planning might be different. For any given question or every given question, there can be multiple solutions possible to a given problem, so don't worry about it. Now what am I going to do? Obviously I'm going to run a loop, because what I supposed to do first thing is to count and output the number of seats already booked for the evening. That means I'm going to count how many seats or how many times the array contains the value true. And if I don't want to write, if you don't want to write a simple comment like a starting loop, you can also write counting the number of booked seats for row 1 to, how many rows were there, 10, for column 1 to 20, if evening row column is equals to true, then do what? You are going to add 1 to booked seats. Booked seats would become booked seats plus 1, and if next column, next row. And now what you can do is you should output this number. Because we were asked to count and output number of seats already booked for the evening. Okay, so we have successfully taken care of the first instruction or the first bullet point. Allow the user to input the number of seats required and validate the input. All right, sure. So that means we are going to need another variable by the name of number or something like seats that the user wants. Input data from user and validate it. How do we validate? By now you should really remember, we always use a repeat or a while loop. Okay, I should keep the print outside. Enter how many seats you would like to book between, or let's just say up to 4 only. Okay, because we were told that seats are allocated, no, where was it written? Up to and including 4 seats can be booked at one time, so up to 4 only. Now we are going to input, we chose the word seats until seats is greater than 0 and seats less than or equal to 4. You can use a while loop as well, your choice. Now okay, we have input values, we have validated that as well, so we can assume so far we have gotten something like 8 to 9 marks, or at least 8 marks already, because we have given comments and we have followed the instruction given in 3 bullet points, so that is something like around 7 to 8 marks already. Check if enough seats are available, so that means we are going to check whether the number of seats you're trying to book are available or not. How do we check that? It's easy, using an if loop, checking if seats are available. If seats plus booked seats is greater than, we made a constant for that, total seats. If you do not want to make a constant, you can directly write 200 over here, but since I made a constant, I'm going to use that. Then print not enough seats left. Oh, and one more thing, instead of print you can use the keyword output as well. There is no problem at all. Only something like okay, total seats minus booked seats comma left. Now what this line is going to do, this line is going to tell you how many seats are left. It is going to minus total seats contains 200 and booked seats contains the number of seats already booked. Let's suppose 197 or 198 seats are already booked. So when this line will run, it will display only 2 seats are left. Why 200 minus 198? That would be 2. Now if this is not the case, if you do have more than 4 seats available, then we are going to run an else statement. Okay, maybe I should bring this then down, so you know the indentation looks appropriate. Else means that okay, you have enough seats available, you can easily allow 4 seats or up to 4 seats to the user. So how we can do that? For count 1 2 seats, like whatever is the number of seats, 1 2 3 or 4, we are going to run a small loop, and what we are going to do inside that loop, okay, we should write our array name evening. Now how we can find how many rows are left? We already know total, how many total seats are booked, because we just calculated them over here. So what we can do is we can divide this number by 10, because in one row there are 10 seats, sorry, there are 20 seats in one row. So if we divide the total number of seats by 20, we'll get the raw number, which from where we need to start saving our next seats or the empty seats. So for that I'm going to use the mod function, because it can give me the remainder as returned as return value. So mod booked seats plus count comma 20, because 20 is the number of seats or number of columns in one row. So when this line will run, let's suppose you have 160 seats already booked in the theater. 160 plus 1, 161, divide by 20, what you are going to be left with. Or let's make it easy, let's say 159 seats are already booked, plus 1, that makes 160, divided by 20, what would be the remainder? In fact, hold on a minute, we should not use mod, we should use the div command. Okay, why is it not editing? Let me try that again. We should use div. So for example, if the booked seats are 159, count is, let's say, 1, so that would mean 60. 160 divided by 20 would give you 8. That means right now you ninth column. So by using div and mod, we are going to find the number of row and the number of column, and then that row and that column, what we are going to do, we are going to set it to true in order to show that this one has been booked. Now we are going to what we are going to do, displaying row and column to user, sorry, not row and column, displaying row and seat number to user. Okay, and over here we can also write a comment, booking seats or making a booking. How to do that? Simply output or print raw number, comma, and then we are going to apply the same logic, div booked seats plus count, comma, 20. Seat number. For that we are going to use the mod logic again. Okay, I should write it in the next line. Booked. So this is going to tell, for example, row number 6, seat number 8 booked. Then row number 6, seat number 9 booked. Then row number 6, seat number 10 booked, and like that. And finally we are going to write next count to close the loop. We have nothing else left. We have taken care of the last bullet point as well. We have done this. We have changed the status of seat. We have output row number and seat number for each booked seat. If they are not available, output a message giving the number of seats left or house full if the theater is fully booked. Okay, we did not really take care of it. We did not enough seats left, only left. Okay, we did not include the house full criteria, so let's do that. Okay, hold on a minute, one thing, we applied one wrong logic. If the seats you're asking for plus booked seats, we can technically make another if statement over here. Okay, so basically the criteria for the second if would also be same, that if they are greater than 200 or greater than the number of seats, then we are going to check for then we are going to say that it is houseful. So probably first of all we should give a error house full, and then we should write an if else statement and this should take care of it. First of all, we are going to check for houseful. If seats like the seats you're trying to book, that and booked seats they are greater than total seats, then you are going to print houseful, and if they are not greater than hold on a minute, why don't we simply hold on a minute, we should correct it like this: if booked seats are greater than or equal to total seats, it technically they can, booked seats cannot be greater than total seats. So if booked seats are equal to total seats, then print housefuls. Else if they are greater than 200, then you are going to say, okay, sorry, you cannot book this many number of seats because only this much is left. And if both of these criterias do not match, then you are going to give them an option to book their seats. And after next count, what we are going to do, we are simply going to write and if statements like this. We started two if statements, we are going to close two end if statements, and in the end we are going to write one big end to show that we have taken care of everything, we have done everything asked in the question, and now our question is complete fully, there's nothing else left. So I hope you understood the logic behind it. This was, I would say, a rather easy 15-mark question. Well, rest of the paper was a little tricky, so I would say that balances things out. Okay, so now it's time for the Q&A session. Before that, let me ask you again, if you have not already, give this video a thumbs up and do let me know in the comments whether you are enjoying, whether you are learning from these free classes or not. Do let me know something about these classes that we are having. Plus, if there's someone that is suffering from in computer science, let them know about these classes twice a week, every Tuesday and every Friday at 9:30 p.m. Pakistan time, live sessions with Q&A at the end, so you can learn or you can ask to your heart's content. So let them know. And now let me head to the comments, to the chat, and see what questions you guys have left for me today. Okay, so you can basically use either output or either print, doesn't really matter. Both of them are equally acceptable, no problem at all. Moving on to the next question. Okay, so someone has asked, what is the variable seats used for? Over here, I've used the variable seats over here in order to ask the user how many seats they want to book. Like we were told that you cannot make a booking of more than 4 seats at once. So in order to get that data from the user, I'm using the variable seats. I hope that answers your question. That is the working of the variable seeds. And then in the second comment, you said, I do not understand the if statement for seeds plus booked seeds. I'm guessing you're talking about this. See, we basically have to check for three things. If the number of seats that are already booked from the auditorium, if they are equal to total seats, or if they are equal to 200, that means there is house full. There are no more seats available, or 200 of the seats have been booked. So you in that if that's the case, you can simply print, or okay, fine, if you want to go with the output, for you I'll go with output. I'll edit it. Okay, probably Adobe is going to be troublesome if I do that, so never mind. Anyways, you can use output or print over here, and you can write houseful. The second scenario is your booked number of seats are not equal to 200, or they are not equal to total number of seats, but the number of seats the user wants to book plus the number of already booked seats, collectively they are greater than 200. Like you already have 198 seats booked and somebody wants to book 4 seats. Collectively 198 plus 4, that is going to be greater than 200. If that's the case, you are going to output an error message, or you are going to print an output message that we don't have enough seats left. And then you are going to tell them that, hey, only total seats minus booked seats, that would be 200 minus 198 2. So it would print like or it would display on the screen only 2 seats are left, so the person can make amendment to their booking to the number of seats they want. And otherwise you are just going to make a booking, or you are just going to proceed with the booking if these two scenarios are not there, if these two conditions are not met. That means you have plenty of seats available in the auditorium, in the theater, to go ahead with up to 4 bookings for a customer, or for a client, or for a person who wants to enjoy your show. I hope that answers your question. And if you have any more question, any one of you have any other questions, please ask me. I am live right now, so you can ask. Okay, somebody has another question. I don't understand the div and mod part of the code. I'll try to see. One thing we know, that in every row there are 20 columns. Okay, let me try to. So this is how there are 10 rows, and in every row there are 20 columns. Each of these cells, don't mind my bad drawing, each of these cells represent a single seat. Now let's suppose right now you have 172 seats already booked in the auditorium, in the theater. Now using this number, how you can find, and well, somebody comes for one seat, so you'll add it to it, and now the total number of booked seats will become 173. So how can you find, by using this seat number, that what is the row number and what is the seat number or the column number, by using this number only? Logically you can use the div function for that, for finding the number of row. What you can do, there are total 10 seats available, right? So 10 divided by 17 would be 170, and that would be your row number. 173 seats booked means that 173 not 17, that not how many rows we had. Sorry, I think I made a mistake. Let me go up and see. Yeah, we have 10 rows of 20 seats. Yeah, right. So basically, not, I am dividing it wrong. I should divide it by 20. So when I divide it by 20, that should be, it would be something like 8. So that means your seat would be somewhere in the 8th row, because 20 times 8 is 160. That means 8 seats are completely, 8 rows are completely filled, and you would be somewhere in the next row. And then how you can find in what column number you have, you can use the mod function to calculate the remainder, and that would tell you at what position you currently are in that row. Okay, if you have any other questions you might ask. Okay, so I guess we don't have any more. So if there, yes. If there are total 200 seats available, that definitely means that there are that seat number 200 will be in the 10th row. Obviously, you are absolutely right. Now the thing is, one thing to remember is that remember one thing in pseudocode. Sometimes we have to deliberately leave a little bit of loopholes logic wise, because in actual programming language, when we are converting a pseudocode into actual programming language, in actual programming language we have lots of library routines, we have a lots of pre-made functionalities which are way more accurate, plus we have the IDE who's actually using compiler and interpreter to run everything. So we actually have we have way more grip on our program. We have way more what you can say control over the program that we are making, so we are able to perform things more accurately. Sometimes the code we write in pseudocode seems it might be slightly wrong, but we can let it go as long as the logic makes sense, as long as it is close to how the things would work in a real world scenario. Because pseudocode cannot run practically, it cannot run. You need a programming code to run it. Okay, so don't worry about this. Is one of the questions where the logic seems to be a little bit bent, a little bit flawed, but don't worry about it, you will get your marks, trust me. Okay, so that's on. Now we Okay, so if this is your concern, well, see, I'm just spontaneously solving the code. What you can do, you can use the round function on the raw number and round it to nearest whole number, if that helps. Or if you want a fail safe, you whenever you're generating the raw number, you might want to add +1 to it, so that if you have 190 seats or 199 seats, let's say, and you are getting the raw number 9. Okay, and your question is right that technically the last 20 seats should be in raw 20 in raw 10th, so we can just add +1 to it. However, Cambridge Examiner is not really okay. They made my code disappear anyway. The like I said, this is not an actual programming language, so slight variation like this would be acceptable in the mark scheme. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so anyone else have any other questions that you would like to ask? So I guess that's it for today then, because we don't have any more questions. So I hope you have understood the logic, you have understood everything. Even if you're watching it as a playback and you have some question, feel free to drop it below, or you can just WhatsApp me your question as well. I'll definitely respond as soon as I get free. So I guess that's it for today. I'll see you guys on in the next live stream and we'll solve a paper one. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.